Terror will never be extinct. Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of Carnosaur 3, Primal Species. This is a 1996 film. It's the third and last film in the Carnosaur franchise. There are some unofficial sequels in Raptor, and another one which is called the Eden Project or something like that. And they just use footage from Carnosaur films. That's really what they do. It's not really, and Raptor's pretty terrible. But yeah, I actually didn't mind this film. I actually liked it quite a bit. So you'll find out why uh, when you watch the rest of the review. So stay tuned. Carnosaur 3 Primal Species is a film written by Rob Kirshner. It features cinematography by Andrea V. Rosato. It's edited by Luis F. Cioffi. And it features music by Kevin Kiner. And it's directed by Jonathan Winfrey. It stars Scott Valentine as Colonel Rance Higgins, Janet Gunn as Dr. Hodges, Rick Dean as Polchek, Anthony Peck as General Peter Mercer, Roger Halston as Sanders, Terri J. Vaugn as B.T. Coolidge, Billy Burnette as Ferguson, Morgan Englund as Rossi, David Roberson as Johnson, Cyril O'Reilly as Dolan, and Justina Vail as Proudfoot. And that is the cast and crew of Carnosaur 3, Primal Species. In the opening sequence, an army convoy is attacked by terrorists who soon discover they have stolen a truck of living, frozen biological material instead of uranium. Once at a dockside warehouse, two frozen velociraptors and a huge T-Rex escape and kill many of the terrorists before the police arrive, who expect to find drug smugglers. After finding the sole survivor, the police are killed inside the warehouse by the velociraptors. An anti-terrorist special force led by Colonel Rance Higgins, played by Scott Valentine, is called in by General Mercer, where they find pieces of bodies in a refrigeration truck rather than uranium. They maneuver through warehouse boxes until two get slashed to death. The survivors learn from Dr. Hodges that these are the last three Carnosaurs in existence, two male velociraptors and one female T-Rex, the same dinosaurs in the convoy, and that left from the genetic reconstructions of previous Carnosaur installments in the franchise. It is made clear that the dinosaurs need to be caught alive, relating to the potential for curing major diseases. A massive meat shipment resides at the dock, so the three soldiers hunt in that area, meeting up with a unit of Marines who have come as backup. Soldier Polchek is given drugs to shoot into the Carnosaurs as the group set up a lure and net trap with meat. One of the velociraptors attacks and almost succeeds in dragging out Polchek, but is shot down. They soon then take the raptor back to the base for further examination. Hodges soon theorizes that the T-Rex is breeding since Polchek was being dragged off, perhaps to hatchlings. The next plan is to destroy the ship they're on in the Pacific and freeze the dinosaurs somehow. However, the Velociraptor awakens and begins to attack. The T-Rex also appears and bites off a soldier's head before escaping with the Velociraptor. When time comes to explore the lower decks of the ship, the Carnosaurs knock out the lights and kill a couple more soldiers. The rest then get to an elevator, but a Velociraptor chews through the cable and they crash down to the bottom level, discovering the nest of eggs, which they begin to shoot, which angers the T-Rex, who soon bites off Polchek's arm and then eats him. Rance and Proudfoot then rejoin Dr. Hodges and Marine Rossi, split up again, and then they rig dynamite. The T-Rex then bursts through the ceiling and then drags Rossi through it before eating him. And then the two Velociraptors attack. One rips off Proudfoot's head and the other is shot to death before the other raptor is also shot. Hodges senses that the T-Rex is close. She and Rance then hide behind lockers, which the T-Rex headbutts. Rance then throws an explosive C4 charge in the mouth of the dinosaur, killing it. The two then race against time to jump in the ocean before the ship explodes. Back in the police car at the port, the sole surviving terrorist is still gagged in the back seat when a third Velociraptor soon appears outside the vehicle and eats him, foreshadowing that the prehistoric terror is not over yet. That is the plot of Carnosaur 3, Primal Species. When it comes to the pros for this film, I thought there was a pretty decent amount of them. I thought this is the best film out of the franchise. I thought this was a step up from Carnosaur 2. I thought it had decent directing by Jonathan Winfrey. I thought it had, once again, just like the first two films, more witty, fun, memorable lines of dialogue. Which, excuse me for a second while I grab my notes so I can read them off to you. I mean, right off the bat, you have a little training exercise between Scott Valentine and Polchek messes up. And Polchek's played by the same guy, Rick Dean, who played Monk in Carnosaur 2. And so you have, he's talking to Polchek, and he thinks he didn't approach the exercise very well. And he's like, hey Polchek, are you a donkey? No, I'm not. I'm not a donkey, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you a dumbass donkey? That's pretty much what it calls. It calls him a dumbass donkey. And there's another line of dialogue where the police officers, they go and investigate the truck, the refrigerator truck, and it's like, looks like a Friday the 13th nightmare. And then when the Scott Valentine's team, they go in and check out the warehouse at first, and Polchek shoots at what he thinks might be a dinosaur. And his friend, one of the colleagues from the mission, he's like, "Nice shooting, Tex. You shot yourself a dead man." And then Polchek's like, "Yeah, well, I shot the shit out of him." And then he keeps on going with the fun lines. He's like, "Anyone up for some spaghetti and chopped liver?" And then there's a fun line where he's Polchek's in the meeting with with the doctor and the general, and they're talking about non-lethal ways. They can't use their weapons on the dinosaurs, and so maybe we should just get a bunch of pillows and pummel them into submission. And then after he shoots one of the dinosaurs, after he's dragging him around, he's like, "You're not dragging me around. You're dead. You shit." And then there was this Johnson, who's African American Marine. He has I have some fun with his line delivery. He comes in, played by David Roberson, and he comes in and first sees the raptor, and he's all like, "Eat this, you motherfucker!" He's like, "I should have read my horoscope today. Stay away from tight spaces and prehistoric creatures." And then Polchek even has one last fun line before he has most of the good lines after the elevator crashes, because it says the Raptors took out the cables. It's like, that was better than Disneyland. And then after he gets up after the elevator crash, he's like, "I feel like my cojones just shook hands with my tonsils. But that's it for the fun lines of dialogue. But once again, just like all the other films in the series so far, there are some fun, witty lines of dialogue in these movies that add to the entertainment factor for me. I thought Rob Kirchner did a good job not really directing. He didn't direct, but he did a good job writing these witty lines of dialogue. I felt that the film had the best pacing in the entire franchise. It was really quick. It went by really fast. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. It starts out with action, with a terrorist attacking some guys, with some explosions and gunplay. It does kind of start out with a guy pissing over the side of a car. So you know what kind of movie you're getting into when it starts out with a guy taking a piss. But I still had fun with this movie for what it was. And it has the most action in the franchise too. You have gunplay, you have guns shooting at dinosaurs. So yeah, it's definitely the most action-packed out of the franchise. I thought it had a decent score. I thought Kevin Kiner actually did a pretty decent job with the score. It sounded like his version of Predator mixed with a little bit of Commando. It actually was a score for once. It added to the film, and that was nice to hear, because there wasn't really any scores in the franchise before this other than Ride of the Valkyries. I thought there were solid performances by a few of the cast members: Scott Valentine, Rick Dean, and Justina Vail. Scott Valentine I thought he did a pretty good job line delivery-wise, but there were some moments where he just had that "who farted" look on his face that was just kind of, kind of comical. Like, it's kind of hard to take seriously. He's just like, "Who farted? Who ripped ass? Was that you, Polchek?" He kind of had that look on his face. Like he's trying to be Stallone, and he even has the beret. So I'm like, what are you trying to be, John Spartan? I mean, it's not. Well, you're Scott Valentine. Come on, man. But I still don't mind him. I thought he did a pretty decent job. And it did as good of a job as John Savage did in Carnosaur 2. It was fun to see Rick Dean again, who had, was playing the same character pretty much as Monk. It's like Monk was reincarnated as Polchek in this movie. And I like Justina Vail. She was fun. She was a female Marine that could kick ass. And she kind of reminded me of Vasquez. And the film also had some good bits of gore. You had the little bit with one of the guys gets his arm ripped off. Polchek gets his arm bitten off by the T-Rex. Sadly, Justina Vail, who I liked her character, she gets her head bitten off. So there was some decent bits of gore here and there. I also thought that had some fun with some of the stuff with the ship at the end. I had fun with the whole let's blow up the T-Rex at the C4. I thought that was pretty ingenious, and the effects weren't the best in the world, but I still liked that sequence. So yeah, those are my pros, not really cons. I'm gonna get to my cons soon enough for this film, but those are my pros for Carnosaur 3, Primal Species. As for cons for Carnosaur 3, there's a decent amount of them. They're what prevents the film from being anything anything above average, because I think this is an above average sequel for what it is. I think it's the best film in the franchise, but it still does have its issues. It could be a real classic if it had a bigger budget and it had better editing. There's some really bad editing in this movie. Like there's one shot where the Polchek is arm wrestling with Proudfoot, and it cuts back to Scott Valentine in a meeting with the general, and then it keeps doing these awkward cuts between those two sequences. You have this weird tendency to do a cut and then have a sound effect for some reason, like it's supposed to be badass. It's like it goes like a cut and then it goes whooshing, or it's like, we don't need sound effects to go with your editing. It's just really bad. Some bad visual effects, especially the explosions of the boat at the end. You can tell it's not real and it's behind a green screen or something. It's really bad. Like it's like derailed with Van Damme bad effects, really visual effects. Some dumb writing. I mean, there's a scene where Polchek is just passing notes. Like I bet she's got a nice ass. I'm like, okay. Grown men passing notes? What is up with this? The whole thing with the sequel bait ending, which is just, come on now, we really don't need that. And it kills off some better characters for shittier ones, like the blonde character in this, the actress Janet Gunn, who plays Dr. Hodges. She shows up pretty much almost halfway through the film, and Justina Vail shows up later as well, but she's a better character. She has more charisma. She has more chemistry with Scott Valentine, and she gets killed. I'm like, why did the scientist lady survive? She sucks worse. She sucks. Why did Proudfoot have to die? I liked her. So there's that the film has that hurts it a little bit, and I probably have to say it has the worst creature effects of the franchise. It's not like this franchise has great creature effects. Well, I said I don't mind the creature effects. I mean, some of the creature effects aren't bad. I mean, they're better in the first film and they're better in the second movie. Here, you could tell it's just a guy in a suit. A guy in a raptor suit. And it looks really pretty shitty for the most part. The T-Rex is okay. But even with the bad effects, creature effects, I can kind of give it a little bit of a slide, because it is a fast-paced film, and it definitely does have a low budget. I think it's probably one of the most probably had one of the lowest budgets for all the Carnosaur films. So they definitely just hurt the film, but I, that's definitely a con. But yeah, those are my cons for Carnosaur 3 Primal Species. They do hurt the film, but and mainly a lot of them are connected to its low budget. And it's something I can't really avoid. But hey, the writing though, you can do better with that. But anyway, and especially with the editing. But yeah, those are my cons for Carnosaur 3 Primal Species. As for my final verdict for Carnosaur 3 Primal Species, I liked it. I had fun with this. I thought I had some fun B-movie entertainment out of this movie. I thought it had a decent amount of charm to it. I know it's a low budget, but hey, at least it tried to go out, all out with its low budget. And I didn't mind Scott Valentine. It has the best pacing out of the franchise. It's got the most action. I don't understand why this gets a 2.8 out of 10 on IMDb. There are much worse films than this. Raptor, the unofficial sequel to this, is definitely much worse than Carnosaur 3. I would rather watch this any day of the week over Jurassic World, because at least it's got a faster pace. It's got some good bits of gore. It's got better characters that I like. And yeah, so Carnosaur 3 Primal Species, I think, is actually a pretty underrated sequel. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's the shittiest of the shit, so to speak, when it comes to Carnosaur films. But, yeah, I really don't know what to say about Carnosaur 3 Primal Species, except it's rated out of 5 stars. 3.5, because I think it was a step up from the last film, because it had better pacing, and had a little bit more going for it, a little bit more action. And for what it is, for a low-budget movie, for New Horizons, Roger Corman production, I thought it was actually a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, thank you for watching my review of Carnosaur 3, and I will see you guys later. See ya.